2 games to go until the first test. How close are we to seeing a Lions test team? That's what I'll be digging into this video as the British and Irish Lions prepare to face the ACT Brumbies on Wednesday. And in this video, I'm going to talk through all the team selections, do a quick review of where each team is at, talk about my favourite bits from the press conference. Tom Curry said something that I really loved, and give you my thoughts and predictions on how the game will unfold. Hello amateurs, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be here with you throughout the Lions series and beyond, so hit subscribe to follow along. Okay, let's talk about these Brumbies to kick off with. They are the top-ranked Australian side this year. They came third in Super Rugby with 9 wins and only eventually exited the competition to future finalists, the Chiefs, in the semi-final. The history of this fixture in particular, well, it's very short. Only 3 previous fixtures, one of each of the previous 3 Lions tours, but the Brumbies won the last one, a 14-12 win. Prior to that game, Warren Gatland said that he would take a defeat here for a win in the first test. And, well, he got his wish. I think these Lions will definitely want to continue winning, and I think that'll be a big focus coming forward. Lions update. Well, it was Andy Farrell and Mac Hansen in the press conference, and they had a little bit of comedy between them, a little bit of gentle ribbing, which is always good to see. You can see they've got a fantastic relationship between them. Mac Hansen, of course, picked up for this press conference because it's back to the club that he played for in Australia and a team that he grew up sort of dreaming to play for in the Brumbies. So it's good to see him get an opportunity off the bench in this one. Okay, let's get into that Lions team news as we bring the team up on screen here. What do we want to talk about first? Let's start with the front row. Always start with the front row. And I think Ty Furlong needs a big game here. I think everybody recognises, I'm sure, that that's not in question, that at his best, he is the number 1 tight head in this squad. But he showed glimpses off the bench in the last game. I thought he looked really mentally on it, like he really wanted to make every second count. Now he has to actually prove it from the start. Now he has to contribute consistently from the start. And I'm going to back him to do it. I think he's got that mentality. I think he's looking like he's coming back to form and fitness slowly. He's a big old tanker and he takes time to turn sometimes. And I think that's metaphorical, by the way. And I think it takes him a little bit time to get back into form of fitness. But I think we're starting to see shoots of that now. So it could make the tight head selection for that first test really interesting if he has a big game here. Alongside him, Ellis Genge and Dan Sheehan, who I think now look pretty much nailed on to be the starters. Dan Sheehan certainly. Ellis Genge still got some competition there, but I think he's leading in that race. So he'll be looking for another big game to cement that. Into the back 5 of the scrum. And this, for me, is where this selection gets really interesting. We had conversations on the channel before about, all the 7s in this squad, with a lot of them playing at 6 or 8. But come the test series, would the Lions go big? And I think it was in one of the comments on one of the videos, and I named this exact back 5 of the scrum and just said, that is as big as any back 5 of a scrum in any era. Like, it's massive. They're a huge back 5. So, yeah, they've gone big in this one. And that means a chance at blindside for Ollie Chessum. I think potentially Ty Burn was favourite for that jersey or that role at the start of the tour, but he hasn't performed at his best, and he looked desperately disappointed, I think, in the press conference after captaining the side against the Waratahs in midweek. I think this is a big opportunity for Ollie Chessum, and a good performance here could really stand him in good stead. Also, a good opportunity for Tom Curry, who I've openly said I just think he's been slightly disappointing on this tour in terms of errors. I sort of said that his work rate, his effort is definitely still at the levels that we expect from him, but he's just not quite found his spot. So I'll be looking for him to do that in this game. Now, Tom Curry actually joined the press conference after Andy Farrell and Mac Hansen had left, and they asked a load of really interesting questions to Tom Curry, and he's very good with his words. Like, he's very sort of concise and very thoughtful. But the thing that the question that I got most enjoyment out of, they asked him about how he analyzes his own performance and whether that was really stat based or what. And he basically went flatlined it. He said, no, it's definitely not stat based. I watch myself. I watch, am I putting in as much effort as I can do? How quickly am I getting up off the floor? And he went on to say that that's how he gets enjoyment out of the game, by working really hard and putting himself in the positions to contribute. So that's how he rates his performances. Of course, you know, you don't want to make any errors. Of course, you want to make some big plays, but that is the icing on the top of the cake for him. Like it's all about his work rate. It's all about his physicality. And actually, Andy Farrell mentioned that in his part of the press conference as well. He mentioned Tom Curry's physicality. He mentioned the work off the ball, which enables a team to function. So, I mean, I've definitely been guilty of it in this trip. Like I've focused on the errors that he's made and not necessarily all the other stuff that he's doing almost behind the scenes to make the team play better. I think he's definitely, of course, still got a shot at a test shirt because we've seen consistently in the biggest games, he gets up and provides a level of physicality that I'm not sure the others can quite match. And I mean that with the utmost respect. Curry is just slightly ahead in that regard. So I wonder if Faz is looking at that and saying, right, go and prove it in this game. Go and grab that test shirt. It's still wide open, though, I think, with the open side selection. It could be certainly one of three, I think. Okay, into the backs, and we are looking at combinations here, aren't we? I think we got some nailed on test starters here. I think the halfbacks, Gibson Park and Russell, are nailed on. I think the wings, Lowe and Freeman, are nailed on. And I think for me, it was close between Freeman and Hansen at the start of the tour. I really love them both, but Mac just hasn't performed as he would like to on this tour, and Freeman absolutely has. So I think those two combinations of halfbacks and wings are absolutely nailed on. Into the centres, and we got the Irish combination here of Aki and Ringrose, and I think this is their opportunity to go for that test starting berth. And I do believe that when it comes to the first test, they'll be picked as a pair. It'll either be the Irish centres or the Scottish centres, and this is their outing. This is their chance to impress. Hugh Jones and Tuipulotu went pretty well. They showed that that combination that they've got is still very evident in the previous game. But there's opportunity, I still think, for these guys to go and grab that. And of course, Blair Kinghorn gets his shot at the number 15 jersey after starting on the wing against the Waratahs. Again, that fullback jersey is wide open. It's up to him here to go and grab it. I think he's favourite, but he has to go and play well in this game. And then, of course, a load of fantastic players to come on off the bench, as expected, with Henry Pollock back fit and able to take his spot here. I think if he wants to get a test shirt, it will likely be off the bench. So this is going to be a great opportunity for him to come on and change the dynamic of the game, do something explosive. He's done it consistently throughout his very short career. Can he do it in this game as well? Alrighty, on to the Brumbies. And sadly, as far as I'm concerned, I understand why the Wallabies would do it. But again, I repeat what I was saying from previous videos. I wish this was taken out of their hands so that we got really meaningful. I mean, the games are going to be competitive up to a point, but it'll only be judged if they're playing against the best players. And the Brumbies have retained most of their Wallabies, excuse me, for this one, including the frontline props, Alan Alatoa and James Slipper, who both started against Fiji on Sunday. However, there are a few issues or injuries in the Brumbies Wallabies contingent. Rob Valentini, one of the Wallabies' very best players over recent years, is injured, didn't play against Fiji. Not quite sure when he'll be back. And possibly even more importantly, Noah Lolosio played against Fiji and got injured. He got, I think, a bad concussion and got stretchered off. So that is a major, major concern for the Wallabies. Tom Hooper, though, is in the Wallabies squad and has been released back to play in this game at blindside flanker. And there's a really nice story here. His brother is on the bench. And potentially, if they get on the pitch at the same time, this will be the first professional game of rugby that they've played together. And it'll be against the Lions. So that is a wonderful thing. So look out for that one if Mr. Hooper on the bench, I've forgotten his first name, excuse me, manages to get on the pitch. So the Brumbies top-ranked Australian team, but this is far from their best team. Let's make no mistake about that. But that being said, they've got a really strong history against the Lions. Back in 2001, it was a hell of a game, that one. That was when Austin Healey nicked in for a try with the last play of the game to tie the scores, and Matt Dawson whacked over the touchline conversion. It's a very different scenario on this trip, but expect the Brumbies to really go for it. You know, they've got, like all the Australian sides, they've got a huge amount of pride, and they would want to get one over on the Lions in what might be tricky conditions. There's accusations or possibilities that the pitch was watered for the Waratahs game, but it's probably not going to be necessary for this one because apparently there's a decent amount of weather coming in, decent amount of rain. So with that in mind, with the fact that we're getting closer to the test match, and it seems like all expectations are that the Lions game plan might tighten up a bit, are we going to see both a team that looks more like the test match team and tactics that look more like test match tactics in this game? Will they play more field position? Will they kick the ball more? Will they run and play tippy-tappy rugby a lot less just to get the reps in, which I'm pretty sure is what they've been doing so far? I expect to see that. I think they practice all that phase play stuff in it now in real match situations, so they've got those reps in that regard. I think we're looking not just at closer to a test match team, but I think we're looking at closer to test match tactics as well, which, I don't know, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I think, you know, if you're playing fast open rugby, but it's not really going anywhere, it doesn't look that great, actually. So the best type of rugby for me is the one that's suited to the conditions and your strengths versus the opposition's strengths. So if that's playing a bit tighter, if that's carrying the ball up and going over the top of the opposition narrow, then that's great. I hope the Lions do that. That's what I expect to see. And as per all the other games, I think the Brumbies will hang in there for a while, but I think eventually they will get overpowered. Okay, that is what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Which of these players, nailed on test starters? Let's have your teams in. Which players do you think are absolutely nailed on to starting that first test? I think they're at about 7 or 8 now, in my opinion. I still think there is opportunity for many, many players there, and I don't think that if players that aren't involved in this 23, I don't think that's the end for them at all. I still think they've got an opportunity on Saturday, primarily because of the way the fixtures are spread, because there's no midweek game before that first test. So they can really look at these two games as still very much testing grounds. So I think that's beneficial to the Lions. And I think that, just because you're not in this 23 definitely doesn't mean that you're not going to be in that first test squad. So let me know what you think. Get those players in the comments down below and give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind. It helps other great rugby fans like you find it, and you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next, and don't forget to get out and play.